Imagine your home is on death row. The entire world has declared war on you, openly cheering for the complete eradication of your people. When you finally fight back with a terrifying, unimaginable force, that same world points a finger and calls you a devil. But when you're cornered, when your extinction is all but guaranteed, is survival itself a crime? This is the story of Paradis Island in Attack on Titan. It's a story about how a desperate fight for freedom can spiral into a global catastrophe. A question that moves beyond fiction and bleeds into the darkest corners of our own history. For centuries, the people of Paradis were cattle penned behind walls. They were totally unaware that the world outside had been taught to hate their very existence. They are branded, labeled devils for crimes their ancestors committed ages ago. In the nation of Marley, relentless propaganda painted the Eldians of Paradis as inhuman, dangerous, a poison that needed to be cleansed. This campaign of dehumanization wasn't just words, it was the deliberate creation of a global target. This is a pattern we see again and again. A narrative is carefully built, painting an entire community as an irredeemable threat. A leader, like Willy Tiber, takes the stage. He declares them a problem that must be solved for global peace. And the world either applauds or simply looks away. For the people of Paradis, the doomsday clock strikes midnight. They face a world united in a single horrifying goal: to wipe them off the map. The question is no longer if they'll be erased, it's how they can possibly survive. What choices do they really have? In Attack on Titan, when Paradis Island faced total annihilation, they were offered two solutions. But honestly, both were just different paths to the same dead end. First, the 50-year plan. This was a slow-motion surrender, a partial rumbling to buy time, forcing the royal family to breed like cattle to pass down a Titan, while the island lived under the constant threat of global retaliation. The second choice was even worse: Eren Yeager's Euthanization Plan, a merciful sterilization of all Eldians so they would quietly die out within a generation. Both options asked an entire people to agree that their right to exist was a price to waste paying for someone else's peace. For Eren Yeager, this wasn't a solution. It was the ultimate surrender. He refused to die quietly just so the world that wanted him dead could sleep soundly at night. These scenarios echo the desperation of real-world conflicts. For centuries, Jewish people across Europe were confined to ghettos, presented with ultimatums that were merely illusions of choice: convert, be expelled, or face brutal violence. In a similar vein, we see this in modern conflicts where displaced populations are squeezed into shrinking territories, presented with diplomatic solutions that feel like dead ends. They live under strict surveillance, their movement restricted, facing a choice between slow cultural erasure or a resistance that invites overwhelming retaliation. Grand diplomatic plans often fail to address the core desperation of a people being squeezed into oblivion. Diplomacy is dead. Every other option leads to extinction. A monstrous choice is made. In Attack on Titan, that choice is the rumbling, a global genocide that wipes out 80% of the world's population. It is an act of absolute horror. The victims aren't just soldiers or politicians. They are civilians, children, people with no say in their government's warmongering. The atrocities in Attack on Titan hold a dark mirror to our own world. History shows us that when you strip a people of their humanity, violence is the inevitable result. The Rwandan genocide is a terrifying example of this vicious cycle. Decades of ethnic tension, deliberately fueled by colonial policies, culminated in extremists inciting the mass slaughter of the Tutsi population. This horrific violence was framed as a preemptive strike, a necessary defense against an enemy they were taught to fear. This is the exact trap the world set for Paradis. The Eldians were branded as monsters. They were pushed, cornered, and made desperate. And then Eren committed a monstrous act. He became the exact devil the world claimed he was. He He proved the propaganda right. Even if his people survive, he ensured he will forever be remembered as the villain of human history. So why? Why does Eren Yeager, a boy who screamed for freedom, choose to become a world-destroying monster? To understand this, you have to look at his philosophy. Eren Yeager is the tragic inverse of a Stoic. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the external world, we can always master our internal reaction to it. Eren is the opposite. He is unable to accept a reality he cannot control, so he decides to destroy the external world instead. He is not a master of his destiny, he is a slave to his own refusal to accept reality. It's a horrifying calculation, a choice to commit an ultimate evil for the greatest good of his own people. It's a gamble with the lives of millions, born from love, but carried out with a cruelty that defies all reason. This isn't about magic, it's about the crushing weight of generational trauma. When a people endures decades of oppression, of dehumanization, it creates a psychological prison. For Eren, this was literal. By inheriting the attack titan, he saw it all. The memories of his father and those before him, an endless history of persecution, of failed attempts at peace. He became a slave to a destiny that felt pre-written, a closed loop where every single path led back to his people's slaughter. This sustained psychological warfare creates an environment where atrocities become possible. It's visible in the darkest chapters of our own world. Nazi propaganda, for instance, relentlessly portrayed Jewish people as subhuman, a narrative used to justify their systematic extermination. For Marley, the Eldians were similarly branded devils, a story used to justify their oppression. Before we reach the final verdict, I want to hear your take. When the entire world wants you dead, do you have the right to destroy them first? Was Eren's choice the only option, or was he blinded by hate? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy deep dives into the philosophy of pop culture, make sure to subscribe. So we come back to the central question, the one at the heart of Attack on Titan. Is the rumbling an act of unprovoked evil, or is it the last desperate roar of a cornered animal? The truth is, it can be both. The story brutally closes doors, one by one. Peace talks fail, limited conflicts escalate. Proposed solutions like the 50-year plan or euthanasia are just surrender disguised as mercy. The story of Paradis is one where every exit is sealed shut, until only the most horrific one remains. The rumbling is an act of incomprehensible evil, but it wasn't born from nothing. It is the final eruption of a cycle of hatred that has churned for centuries. The world taught its children to hate the devils of Paradis, and that hatred eventually created a real one. A monster doesn't just appear, it is cultivated, watered by prejudice and baked in the fires of aggression until Eren became the very thing he was always feared to be. We've seen characters like Thorfinn in Vinland Saga choose to drop their weapons and build peace, proving that a true warrior has no enemies. But the tragedy of Eren Yeager is that he never had that luxury. His world was so consumed by hatred that it made a monster inevitable.